There was a woman who kept a journal for one entire year. Every single day, she wrote down one good thing that happened. 365 good moments. Sunsets, compliments, warm coffee, kind messages. At the end of the year, researchers asked her one question. Which moment do you remember the most? She paused. And then she remembered the one bad day. Out of 365 good days, her brain kept exactly one bad one. This is not a flaw. This is not bad luck. This is a setting installed in your brain before you were born. Today, we're going to find out why bad always beats good, and why no amount of positive thinking can fully switch it off. Let's start with something small, a performance review at work. Your boss says 10 things you did well, then one sentence. This part needs improvement. You walk out of that room remembering only one thing. In 2001, psychologist Roy Baumeister reviewed hundreds of studies on this exact pattern. His conclusion became famous in psychology. Bad is stronger than good. Across money, relationships, health, and memory, the pattern repeated everywhere. One insult outweighs 10 compliments. One loss outweighs 10 wins. But this was only the surface. It gets much deeper than a review at work. To understand why, we have to go back, long before offices, long before words. Imagine an early human standing at the edge of tall grass. The grass moves. It could be wind, or it could be a predator. If they assumed wind and were wrong, they were dead. If they assumed danger and were wrong, they simply felt silly for a moment. One mistake costs nothing. The other mistake costs your entire life. So evolution made a brutal but simple decision. Assume danger first. Ask questions later. The humans who survived were not the calm ones. They were the anxious ones. And their anxious brains are the exact brains we inherited today. In the 1960s and 70s, psychologists Arne Ullman and Susan Mineka studied this directly. They showed people images of flowers, mushrooms, and snakes. People spotted the snake faster than anything else every single time. Even people who had never seen a real snake in their life. The fear wasn't learned. It was already sitting there, waiting. But here's the disturbing part. That system has never been updated. You are running software built for a world with lions. In a world that now only has emails, notifications, and awkward silences. Your ancient alarm system still fires at full volume, even when nothing is actually hunting you. But this ancient alarm system was only the beginning of the story, because it's not only your fear that's biased. Your memory is rigged too. Inside your brain sits a structure called the amygdala. It acts like a stamp that marks memories as urgent or unimportant. When something threatening happens, the amygdala floods that memory with stress chemicals. Those chemicals act like glue, cementing the memory permanently in place. Good memories don't get that treatment. They get filed normally, and they fade. This is why you can recite an insult from 10 years ago, word for word. But you can't remember what your best friend said at your birthday last month. Neuroscientists call this asymmetry the negativity bias in memory encoding. It's not that you have a bad memory. You have a selective one, and it selects for exactly the things that hurt you the most. But even this was only the surface, because bias doesn't just affect memory. It affects the very decisions you make every single day. In the 1970s, two psychologists ran an experiment that changed economics forever. Their names were Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky. They offered people a simple coin flip. Heads, you win $150. Tails, you lose $100. Mathematically, this bet is excellent. You should take it every time. But most people refused to play. The math didn't matter because losing $100 felt roughly twice as painful as winning $150 felt good. Kahneman and Tversky called this loss aversion. It later won Kahneman a Nobel Prize because it explained something huge. Your brain isn't built to maximize happiness. It's built to minimize loss. This is why you'll stay in a boring job rather than risk a worse one. This is why you'll stay quiet about how you feel rather than risk rejection. You are not weak. You are running an ancient risk calculator, one that assumes every potential loss might be the last one you survive. But the worst part of this story isn't inside your brain anymore. The worst part is what happens when someone else learns how to use it against you. Every day, you open your phone and scroll for a few minutes. In that feed, you'll see recipes, vacations, and one piece of outrage. Which one do you remember an hour later? Which one do you talk about at dinner? This is not an accident. This is not your personal weakness. Media researchers have measured this directly. Headlines that use negative or threatening words get significantly more clicks than neutral ones. And every platform built after the year 2010 was engineered around one metric: time spent looking at the screen, not time spent feeling good. Your ancient alarm system is the perfect target for this kind of design. Every alert, every red notification badge, every breaking headline pulls the same lever, the lever that once warned your ancestors about lions in the grass. It's not a coincidence that doomscrolling became a word people needed. You weren't careless. You were simply outmatched by a system built to exploit an ancient reflex. But this bias doesn't just cost you your attention. It costs you your relationships, too. In the 1990s, a researcher named John Gottman studied thousands of couples. He recorded their conversations and counted something very specific: the ratio between positive moments and negative moments in every conversation. Gottman found that stable, happy couples kept a ratio of about 5 positive moments to every 1 negative moment. Fall below that ratio, and the relationship starts sliding toward collapse. Notice the number: 5-1, not 1-1, not 2-1. Because one careless comment doesn't just cancel one kind comment, it cancels 5. This is why one argument can erase months of quiet, ordinary affection. You're not being dramatic when one fight makes you question the whole relationship. You're running the same ancient math your ancestors used to survive the grasslands. But if you understand the math, you can finally stop losing the game. Picture a small fire, somewhere on an open plain, thousands of years ago. A group sits close together, backs turned to the darkness beyond the light. Somewhere out there, in the black beyond the firelight, something moves. No one can see it clearly. But every person near that fire feels it. Their hearts speed up. Their breathing shortens. Their eyes widen in the dark. That exact physical reaction is still sitting inside your body today. It just doesn't have a real predator to aim at anymore. So it aims at anything: an unread message, a silence, a slightly cold tone of voice. The alarm still rings. It just rings for the wrong reasons now. So what do you do with a brain that's rigged this way? You cannot delete this bias. It's not a bug. It's ancient architecture. Trying to force yourself to just think positive almost never works, because you're not fighting a mood. you're fighting millions of years of survival programming. But researchers have found something that actually works. It's simple and almost boring. It's called deliberately dwelling on the good, instead of just noticing it and moving on. When something good happens, most people notice it for half a second and move on, because the amygdala never got the memo to stamp it as important. So you have to manually hold on to it for an extra 10, 20 seconds. Let yourself actually feel the warmth of the compliment, the safety of the hug, the relief of good news. Neuroscientists have found that this simple act of lingering can slowly rewire encoding patterns over time, not by deleting the alarm system, but by finally giving the good memories a fighting chance. Second, remember the ratio, 5-1, not perfection, just proportion. You don't need to eliminate every hard conversation. You need enough good ones around it. Third, when the alarm rings for no real danger, name it out loud. Say to yourself, "This is my ancient alarm system. There is no lion here." That single sentence gives your prefrontal cortex just enough time to catch up. And slowly, the volume of the alarm turns down, not off, down. You were never broken for remembering the bad day more than the 364 good ones. You were running code written for a world where hesitation meant death. That code kept your ancestors alive long enough to become your ancestors. It's not a flaw in you. It's a debt you're still quietly paying off. The goal was never to stop noticing the bad. Noticing danger kept your ancestors alive. The goal is to finally let the good moments stay as long as the bad ones do. Somewhere, that woman with her journal is still writing. But this time, she pauses a little longer on the good days, not because the bad day disappeared, but because she finally gave the good ones a chance to stay too. If you've ever wondered why one bad comment outlives 100 good days, now you know why. It was never your weakness. It was simply your ancestors, still trying to keep you alive. If this explained something about your own mind, tell us in the comments which sign felt the most familiar. And if it helped you understand yourself a little better, share it with someone who needs to hear it too. Thank you for watching until the very end. Subscribe for more, and I'll see you in the next one.